Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to start our 2025 NFL predictions. And with this season, we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And I threw up about 6 times in my mouth saying that. But last year they had an historic year, especially from Saquon Barkley, who ran for 2K, which he could have easily broke that record. And you could also thank Harry Roseman with one of the best rosters ever constructed. And the way 2025 is looking, the Eagles are set up to have good success yet again, thanks to high end talent. Now, looking at last year's schedule, things did not get off to a good start for this team. They started off 2-2 with a last second loss to the Falcons, and then they got their brakes blown out against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Granted, I remember AJ Brown not playing in those 3 game stretch. But after the bye week, I feel like they just hit the truck and nothing was stopping them. Basically sweeping the entire division except for one weird game against the Washington Commanders where Jalen Hurts got hurt, and the Eagles finished 14-3 for the second time in 3 years with a much more respectable schedule, ease of schedule. Now in the playoffs, they did get off to they played the Green Bay Packers first, where they used their defense. The Los Angeles Rams, it was a snowy game where Saquon once again ran for 200 yards against the Rams, and the Commanders, that was just a bloodbath beatdown, as was their Super Bowl victory. A game that I did not watch because, well, I decided to have better things to do at my time than to watch 2 teams at the Super Bowl yet again. But for this season, we're going to do things a little different. Instead of me going over their whole offseason overview, I'm going to cut that off and we're just going to jump right into the schedule predictions.
Okay, first up is the Philadelphia Eagles, and their first game of the season is their division rival, the Dallas Cowboys. First home game since winning the Super Bowl, I think the Eagles should take care of their division rival in this one, getting the win. Next they have is already off the back, Kansas City going on the road, the team that they just beat in the Super Bowl. That is That's going to be pure cinema, and I will be watching it this time. But I think the Chiefs are thinking revenge. I got to go Kansas City to win this one. Next up, we have is the Los Angeles Rams. And for me, this one's a bit of a toss up. Part of me want to say the Eagles are going to win, but I think the Rams, like the Chiefs, also thinking revenge. Hopefully, I think this time they will have a game plan for Saquon Barkley, as in every other team. I think the Rams will get a tough road win over the Eagles. And then week 4, we have the Eagles' kryptonite, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team that pretty much woke the Eagles up and had them go on that run. But I'm also gonna go with the Buccaneers. So the Eagles, yikes, 1-3 to start the season. But don't worry, things are actually gonna get a little better for you. Next up is the Denver Broncos. I do think they do have a better squad. I'm going to go ahead and give them a win. Next we have is the New York Giants on Thursday night. I don't know why this game's in prime time. I'm going to give the Eagles a pure win there. And now we have the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota, it has a lot of unknowns. And while I do like Justin Jefferson, I don't know about JJ McCarthy because, again, we haven't seen him much. I'm going to give the Eagles a win here. And I have them sweeping the New York Giants. So after a 1-3 start, they've won 5. They have won 4 straight, heading into their bye week, and they got a tough one, not against the Green Bay Packers. And to me, Green Bay is another team I think is in a crossroads this year. I don't know what I think about them yet, But I do think the Packers are good. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Eagles. So make it 5 in a row for them. But now we got the NFC Championship game that we were robbed of seeing, the Detroit Lions. And I do think Detroit is probably going to hit a wall this year. They don't have Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator anymore. I think the Eagles get a win here. But against the Dallas Cowboys, I do have them splitting the series there. And it takes us to their Black Friday game against the Chicago Bears. And in this one, I'm pretty hokey on the Bears again this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Eagles in this one against the Chargers. I'm actually gonna go with the Chargers on at home. This is a Monday night game, prime time. I'm gonna take the Chargers to win. So the Eagles are gonna go 0-2 against Los Angeles opponents. Against the Las Vegas Raiders, I'm gonna give them a win there. And the last three games are very interesting to me because we got the Commanders, Bills, Commanders again. And Commanders are set up for success this season. And I do think the Eagles are going to split. I don't know how it's going to split, but let me go ahead and give them a loss to the Bills. I'm going to go ahead and say Washington gets a win there. Eagles will win the Week 18 game. So they'll go 4-2 in the division and a 10-7 record. Very disappointing for a Super Bowl champion, but I do think it probably will be enough for them to get a playoff spot. But we'll have to see, wait and see on that. But anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Trust me, I know a bunch of you Eagle fans are going to disagree with me with this, but I want chaos this season. But thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the New York Giants. And this was another down season for the Giants, and a lot of it can be sparked with their karma. Letting Saquon Barkley walk to a division rival and see him win a Super Bowl while they chose Daniel Jones, which he was cut mid-season. And just when they had a clear path for the number one overall pick, they decided to win a meaningless game against the Colts to bump them down to 3 and drafted Abdul Carter when they already have Thibodeau and Burns on the roster. Sure, they made defensive improvements, but can this offense get going this time with Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston or their draft pick Jackson Dart? We'll just have to wait and see. And for their schedule, it was basically the opposite of what the Eagles done. Instead of losing 3 games, that's all the games they won. And 2 of them mostly came on the road against Cleveland and Seattle. But then, like I said, they won that meaningless game against the Colts. And I know by the time the bye week hit and Daniel Jones was released, the Giants fans, they were comfortable losing every single game. They were comfortable in losing out, getting that number 1 draft pick, until they beat the Indianapolis Colts, led by Joe Flacco for some reason. And that blew up their plans. But hopefully the Giants can improve from 3-14 after a down year, because Brian Daboll and Joe Shane somehow kept their jobs. Let's take a look at their schedule. Okay, New York, let's take a look at your schedule, and oh boy, this one's a rough start. So let me get this out the way. You're losing to Washington. You're losing to the Cowboys because Dak Prescott owns you. Sunday night game against the Chiefs, that is just gonna be ugly. I think I don't stand a chance with the Chargers. 0-4 to start the season, but I do think they're gonna get their first win over the New Orleans Saints. As again, I think the Saints are gonna be probably the worst team in the league. Since I've already done the Eagles schedule predictions, I already got them getting swept by them. Then they have the Denver Broncos. Give me the Broncos in this one. Week 8, like I said already, have them getting swept by the Eagles. Week 9, 49ers are going to take advantage of that easy schedule. But week 10, I got to go with the Bears in this one. But week 11, this is when things going to get a little interesting. Because if you don't know, Packers tend to struggle with the Giants in recent years. And I honestly don't know why. And I do think the Giants will get their second win over the Green Bay Packers. Week 12 will be the Lions. It's going to be ugly. And week 13 against the Patriots, that game is somehow on Monday night. Give me the Patriots in this one. So as you know, I'm not really high on the Giants. Now by the time week 15 hits, they're probably going to be starting Jackson Dart. So I am going to factor in that. I think they're going to get swept by the Washington Commanders this year. Week 16 against the Vikings. That's kind of a toss-up. But I'm going to go with the Vikings, the road team. I'm going to go ahead and give them a win over the Raiders. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch that. I got to go with the Raiders here. But I do got them beating the Cowboys because who knows what the Cowboys are going to do by season's end. So, yeah, rough season. 3-14. One of the worst records in the NFC. And that will probably end up costing Brian Daboll his job. And most likely Joe Shane's too. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Hopefully I have a better prediction than what I just did. But thanks for watching. Gamble safely. And I'll see you next time. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Dallas Cowboys. And Jerry Jones' karma struck hard in 2024 because his turns of all in equals barely making any offseason moves to improve roster weaknesses, while your division rivals got significantly better, except for the Giants. Dak got injured midseason, which he was having a bad year anyway. Watching Kellen Moore win the Super Bowl and offensive coordinator you ran out of town. Not only that, with the Eagles, overall, I felt like this team is just losing interest. When you go 30 years without going to the NFC Championship game, which is my lifetime, cycle started repeats itself over and over again, and to the point where is this team really worth the hype at all? And this is what happens when you run a team like a country club. You get country club results. Now the new coach, yes man, is Brian Schottenheimer. And honestly, I'm not really impressed with the hire. Let's go ahead and talk about what happened last year. Last year, all in equaled 7-10. And things did not get off to a good start for the Cowboys, especially when they were at home. I remember the Saints, Ravens, Lions games, they were down by like 20 points in all three of those home games. It was bad. You might as well add the Eagles and Texans into that conversation as well. They did not get a single home win, which, might I add, they were undefeated at home in 2023 until the Thanksgiving Day against the Giants, which again was not that hard to do. All right, Dallas Cowboys. Let's take a look at your schedule. And for you, you have more primetime games, 8, than you had wins last year, 7. But outside of that, I have you losing to the Eagles week 1. Week 2 against the Giants, I have you winning that one. Week 3 against the Bears. And while I am done with the Bears preseason hype, I got the Cowboys winning on the road for that. But week 4 against Green Bay. If you know, you know. You know the Packers, they have ownership over two teams, the Chicago Bears and the Dallas Cowboys. But moving on, week 5, I think this is where their schedule kind of eases up a bit. The New York Jets, I got them winning on the road for that. And I also got them winning on the road against the Carolina Panthers. Because the Panthers do not match up well against that team. But against Washington, this one's a little tricky one. But I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the Commanders. I think the Commanders get a road win there. And then against the Broncos, give me the Denver Broncos because, fun fact, the Cowboys have not beaten the Broncos in this millennium. Y'all don't know that. Y'all didn't know that either. But against the Cardinals week 9, they also tend to struggle with this team for some reason. I got them losing to them too. So what is going on? But they got a bye week. But coming off the bye week, they got another Monday night game against the Raiders. I'm going to go ahead and give them a win there. I have them splitting the Eagles. Against the Chiefs, I got them getting dog walked in that game. Give me the Lions on Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys are actually going to be the first team of 3 Thursday night games. I got them beating the Vikings at home. Already had them beating the Chargers on. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Washington Commanders. And they were the surprise team of the NFL this year. And the question, well, sure, Jaden Daniels is the Rookie of the Year. But the big question for this team was, did Jaden Daniels have the best rookie season anyone has? Well, it's up there. Now, Washington wants to take full throttle and take advantage of what they did last year. And thanks to a ton of cap space, were able to make moves to put themselves in Super Bowl contention. Yes, Commanders in this era is a Super Bowl contending team. But I don't know. I do want to keep an eye out on a possible slump on Jaden Daniels. And that could be one of the bigger worries of this team. But it's a big nitpick. If he could live up to last year's expectations, he'll be just fine. But if he can't, it might, well, we'll just wait on that. In their schedule, they went 12-5, which was the best record they've had since, I don't know, 1999. Now, they did lose to the Bucks opening day, but they won 4 straight against some pretty easy teams. Well, the Bengal game was pretty impressive, I ain't gonna lie. And they start off the season 6-2, or 7-2, excuse me. Then they had a 3-game losing streak where they lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, lost to the Eagles on Thursday night, and then they lost to the Cowboys in that very, very weird game. But after that, they just won out. Beat the Titans, beat the Saints, barely. Beat the Eagles, barely. Beat the Falcons to get them in the playoffs. They barely won that. And then they beat the Dallas Cowboys, which Mariota put up a last-second drive to win that game. And it saw this team in the playoffs where, for the first time since 2005, they won a playoff game. They beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a last second field goal. Then they just crushed the Detroit Lions on the road. And with that, their now division rival, the Dallas Cowboys, now own the longest drought of not going to the NFC Championship game. They went against the Philadelphia Eagles, where all their good luck, they just ran out of gas. Now, the question for the Commanders, can they live up to last year, or will it be a down year for them? Let's take a look at their schedule. Okay, Commanders, let's take a look at your schedule. And as you can see, I've already done a few of your games, but I have you got first two games against the Giants and Packers. I got them winning both of those games. Next, they got the Raiders. Fortunately, that game is at home. I'm gonna give them a win there. But against the Falcons, Week 4, it's in Atlanta. I think that game's gonna be a true toss-up. But I'm gonna give. That's when their first loss is gonna occur. Then they're gonna lose to the Los Angeles Chargers Week 5. In Week 6, the rematch game of whatever happened in Week 8 against the Bears. And given that I'm done hyping up the Bears, I'm going to give the Commanders a win there. I already have them beating the Cowboys Week 7. Week 8, I have them losing to the Chiefs. Week 9, I have them beating the Seahawks. And it takes us to Week 10 against the Lions. Lions may be more healthier than what they were last year. I'm going to give the Lions a road victory over the Commanders. And they'll get a win Week 11 at Miami. And heading into their bye week, they'll be sitting at kind of pretty. Against the Denver Broncos, it's at home. I'm giving them the win there. Against the Vikings, this one's going to be a tough one. But because the Vikings is pretty much an unknown team for me, I'm giving them a win at Minnesota. I have them beating the Giants, sweeping them at that. I have them winning a pretty huge game against the Philadelphia Eagles Week 16. But the last two games, I have them losing at home to the Cowboys on Christmas Day. And then I have them losing to the Eagles Week 18, which puts their record at 11-6. Which, if I remember my past predictions that I've already done, I think it's enough for them to win the division. Sure, it's a bit of a step back from what they were last year, but I still think this team could do pretty well, and maybe replicate some of their success. So that concludes the 2025 Washington Commanders predictions. Tell me what I think in the comments below. What record do you think they're going to have? Thanks for watching. Gamble safely, and I'll see you next time.